bound by sin and darkness. Ha ha. Woo! You have given us freedom. Come on. No longer bound by sin and darkness. Living in the light of your goodness. You have given us freedom. Now I have
resurrection power living on the inside, Jesus. You have given us freedom. I'm no longer bound by sin and darkness, living in the light of your goodness. You have given us
freedom. Yeah. Woo! Do you really believe that? Thank you guys so very much. Wow. This was awesome this morning. I just love it. I love it. I love it when God gives you something and then they sing it. Right? Isn't that so cool? So I want to show you a real quick, first of all, let me just say this. Welcome, welcome, welcome to God's house. If this is your very first time here, would you let us see your hand so we can welcome you? Woo! Normally the ushers are here to give, there he is. Raise your hands high, high. We want to give you something. We're not going to bug you. We just want to get to know you and let you know what's going on at God's house. So if you could please keep your hands raised, people will get you something. Thank you. I want to give you another announcement. July 21st, we're going to have a church-wide pool picnic party. Everybody say July 21st. So just mark your calendar. More information is going to come about that. It's going to be from 6 to 9, where it's not so hot, because, you know, it's in Houston in July, really. So we're going to do that, and it's going to be awesome, okay? So just mark your calendars, mark the date. For the youth, mark your date for July the 10th. We're going to have a pool party for the youth. So mark your date, parents, for that, because we're going to do that in the afternoon as well. Let's see, do I have any other announcements? Pastor Darren and Sheila are not here, obviously. You have me today? Pastor Darren and Sheila are in Australia. And so, I mean, they're suffering for Jesus in Australia, right? Yeah, it's so sad, so sad. Don't know how they're doing that. But anyway, so I just want to welcome you. I'm excited about today. Can I get some strong men to move that thing right here, please? And all the strong men get up at once. No, just kidding. This little thing right here, me and it, we're going to have some conversations. Okay. It's just staying on my ear. Cool. Thank you, guys. Awesome. Yeah. Okay. So before we get started, first of all, I just want to say again, welcome. Thank you for being here. Because, you know, sometimes when the pastor's gone, people don't come. But y'all are here, so yay, it's exciting. So I want you guys to look at this little video clip. Xavier, they're trying to get something else straight over there. Xavier, if you could play that clip for me real quick. Turn that baby up.
You are about to hear a strange but true story. Legend has it, Harry Houdini, the master magician, once claimed that he could break out of any jail cell in the world. All he had to do was walk into that jail cell with his street clothes on. "I'll be out of there in 1 hour, no problem," he said. Well, a very old jail down south heard about Houdini's claims, and they accepted his challenge. On the day of the event, many people gathered outside. Very confidently, Houdini walked right into the jail and into the cell, and they shut the metal doors behind him. The first thing Houdini did was he took off his coat. Then, very strangely, he took off his belt. Secretly hidden in Houdini's belt was a 10-inch piece of steel, very tough and very flexible. And Houdini started working. In about 30 minutes, that confident expression Houdini had when he walked in disappeared. In 1 hour, he was bathed in sweat. And at the end of 2 hours, Houdini, in defeat, collapsed against the door, which then opened. It opened because, you see, that door had never been locked. But that's not entirely true, is it? That door was locked. It was firmly and thoroughly locked in Houdini's mind, which meant it was locked as if the best locksmith in the world had put his lock on it. The mind is powerful. How many doors in your life do you think are locked but aren't? How many times have you been stuck in the mental prison of overthinking something that really had a simple solution? There is an ancient African proverb that says, when there is no enemy within, the enemy outside can do us no harm. Your mind is the most powerful force you will ever face. It will tell you lies. It will tell you you can't do that. You're not meant for that. You're not good enough for that. You can't go on anymore. You don't have the energy. You must thank it for its opinion and carry on. Because like Houdini showed us, the only locked doors that exist are in your own mind. The doors in reality are open. And all you have to do is walk through.
Yeah. Yeah. How many times have we thought that a door was locked? And all along, the door was open. And all we had to do was just give it a little push. And here we are working our way, trying to figure it out, trying to get it all together, and the door has already been opened. It's unlocked. All you have to do is just walk on through it. I love this video because Houdini was one who was known for being a great escape artist. So he was known for being able to escape things, right? We know that. He was known for being able to escape hard situations, difficult situations. He was known to escape. How many times in our mind do we want to check out and escape? And so, when you look at this, his grid was that it was going to be locked. That was his grid. His grid was that the door is locked and I have to escape. And because that was his grid, when the door was opened all along, his past experience, guys, kept him from seeing the possibility of his present. Let me say that again. His past experience, things that he had rehearsed over and over like a habit. His past experience kept him from seeing the possibility of his present reality. See, a habit is a redundant set of automatic, unconscious thoughts, behaviors, emotions that develop into a repetition, things that we do over and over and over again. And when you've done something many times, then your body is conditioned. Say, my body is conditioned or programmed to become the mind. And over time, your body starts dragging you into a predictable future based on what you've been doing in the past. Did you hear what I said? Therefore, if you're not in the present moment, Scientists say that you are in a program. It's time to break out the programs, guys. Jim Quick said that our minds are like a supercomputer, and our self-talk is the software that runs it. We can talk ourselves out of something when God is saying, that ain't truth. That's not what I have for you. That's not what's reality. That's not my truth. So I want to talk to you today about the human brain. So we're going to get a little sciencey. Okay, is that okay with y'all? All right. Because Pastor Sheila and Pastor Darren have been talking this stuff from a spiritual part, and I just felt like the Lord was saying, take it from a scientific approach a little bit. And it was interesting. I'd already been studying this because Darren had told me and freaked me out 2 months ago that I was going to be doing this. And I started thinking about the mind because that's something that the Lord has been working on me about. How my thoughts are. What are my thoughts? I think I shared that with you guys a few months ago, right before the first 3 day, about my thoughts and how I had to deal with my thoughts and my unbeliefs. Right? We have to deal with that junk. So I want to tell you, okay, so in the brain, we have these things called dendrites, okay? And dendrites are the receivers and receptors that bring information into our brain. That's what dendrites are. Then we have axons, and axons are the pathways that carry information from a neuron to a neuron. Now, a neuron is just the basic cell of our nervous system in our brain, okay? And so then we have the hippocampus. It's the part of the brain that stores and shifts information, okay? And we have the synapses, which are like impulse lines that transmit information from one neuron to the other. And see, what happens is when these neurons and this information starts going, we build neural pathways in our brain. Things happen to us. Okay, so let me just show you what I'm talking about here. Whoops. So let's just say this is a neuron. Can y'all see? I'll get out the way for these people over here. So these are your neurons. So you have these points in your brain. So you have these two neurons, right? And so then you have an axon. That's that line that carries information from one to the other. And then you have a synapsis. Something happens, okay? Let's say when you were a kid, you were rejected, okay? So then there's this rejection. That's that energy that's flowing between those two. And then as that energy is flowing, then what we do, something else happened in our lives, and we get rejected again, so it just keeps building, okay? It happens again, boom, 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 boom. And what happens is when each time that something happens in our lives, it anchors it. It goes to another neuron, and you have another one. That makes it stronger. Then another incident happens, okay, so I was rejected, and then I was rejected by a husband, or I was rejected by a boyfriend, I was rejected by friends, and it just keeps building, it gets stronger. And what these things do is they begin to anchor in your brain. They begin to be patterns, and they begin to be neural pathways that anchor in our brain. And all of a sudden, now we feel rejected. And we have proof because it happened here over and over, and it happened, and it just keeps happening, right? Okay? So when this happens, it's like that's where the accumulation of these things, that's how they anchor long-term memories. And if there's a strong emotion with it, then it really anchors. And that's how long-term memories are put in our brain. And then what happens with that is we make those memories permanent by anchoring them in the information that's going in and out through the hippocampus. Then what we are experiencing now creates a reality when it's measured against what we've already think we know. Did y'all hear what I said? What we are experiencing, this rejection, we measure everything against, or let me say it another way, it's the lens that we begin to see through. We begin to see through the lens of rejection. So when God is trying to bring something our way, we already feel rejected, so we may do something that'll cause us to be rejected before we get rejected. And so everything we think is that God's rejecting us or somebody's rejecting us because right here we have anchored it, we have had strong emotions, and we have decided we are rejected. What if we built neurons that said, love? You know, when I was diagnosed with 2 brain tumors, that was one thing that God really taught me through that whole experience, about his goodness. He taught me about his goodness. And see, when like I said, when I came up, you guys, let me just give you a little, if you don't know, some people know, that my mom was young when she had me, and so she gave me away, rejection. My dad didn't want me, didn't want my mom, rejection, okay? So she gave me to this amazing woman who was one of my aunts, my great aunts, actually. She was old enough to be my grandmother when they got me. And a lot of stuff happened through all that. Through life, stuff happens, y'all, right? Stuff happens in our lives. And we have to choose if we're going to walk in all that stuff and let that stuff rule us and reign over our lives, or we're going to let it go, right? We get to choose. And so when you've been rejected or you have experienced all this stuff, then many times that's how you see God, that God has rejected us. That's the filter that you see him through and think that he sees you through. And so God began to build new patterns and anchoring new things in my life. Now, he's done this over the years. Now, we already know that it's already done, right? Because the cross already paid for it. Exactly. And you know what else happens? What's interesting is that scientists are saying that 50% of what you think you remember is wrong from your past. 50%. Science is proving it. That 50% of what you think you remember, it's not even true. And so some of that you think is rejection or anger or whatever it is, it ain't even true. It didn't even happen. It happened to you when you were a kid. And so as a kid, you processed it a certain way. And as you grew up, you will tell the story different because you're more mature. And so it's a different situation. And so we sit and we get into those situations and we think that it is a certain way when it's not. Houdini thought he couldn't get out the door, and the door was open the entire time. And so when I went through this, what God started teaching me was about his goodness. And it was so cool because everything that I had need of, God provided. Even before I was diagnosed, and you guys, the way it was found was just I had a pinched nerve. Went to my doctor, got a pinched nerve. He said, we got to go see what's going on. My chiropractor sent me to get brain scans for the pinched nerve. God has a way of setting you up, right? Then it came back that there's tumors on your brain. You need to see a neurosurgeon immediately. Well, of course, at first you're sucker punched, and then you just kind of go, okay, God, what are we going to do with this? It's time for you to show out. They were benign, praise God. And anyway, so one thing happened, went from one place to another, and da-da-da-da-da-da. What I'm trying to say is that through that whole process, God provided all the money that I needed. God had provided the place that I needed to be. God provided the people that would take care of me. God provided the perfect doctors. Come on. I had to see a bunch of specialists. And God provided every last one of them. Now, see, I could have said, why would you let this happen to me, God? I could have lived from this place that God's not good. And got into a victim mentality that this has happened to me, oh, poor me. You see what I'm saying? Instead, I used it to look at the goodness, got the perfect doctors, got the perfect hospital to be at, I was put into this neurosurgeon who's one of the top neurosurgeons in our city. I was in his office within a week, because of who I knew. And every other doctor was the same way. He just made a call. He had his office to make a call. Boom, I was in. You hear what I'm saying? And all my treatment, everything was like that. So constantly, God was showing his goodness. Do you hear what I'm saying? I was building new neuron pathways in my brain. And these, I would get another report. Boom. Another time to trust God. Do you hear what I'm saying? It was a time of just trusting God. See, when we have unforgiveness and anger and bitterness, can y'all hear me? Is this okay if this thing hangs down like that? Because it's doing funny things and I can't make it stay. So when we have these filters of unforgiveness, anger, bitterness, etc. in our lives, what it does is it freezes circuits in our brains. Because these circuits are now hardwired together. All of this stuff here is hardwired together. Okay? Does that make sense? Are y'all following me? Okay. And so the more profound the insult or the thing that happens, because it's going to happen in our life, right? And so the stronger that thing is that we deal with it emotionally, or the more that we see it as, oh my gosh, this was so bad. The more that we repeat that thought, the more it freezes those neural pathways in our brain. Does that make sense? Okay? So the more we repeat the thought, the choice, the behavior, the emotions, the more the neurons that fire and wire together, the more they sustain a long-term relationship. So think about what we think about. What are we creating in our brains? What filters are we seeing through? When we already know that it's already done, already paid for, right? I'll come back to that in a minute. So the more we remember the event or the offense, the more we produce the emotion that's associated with, then we are conditioning our body to be further and further in the past. You guys, that's the Adamic nature. That's the Adam nature. That's living from the tree of good and knowledge of good and evil. Right? Okay. So the it's is going to happen in our lives, right? I've said that before. It's going to happen. I love. Sandy posted something on Facebook. Donna gave Sandy this gift for her birthday. And I'm not going to say exactly what it says, but it was a bracelet. And it says, note to self, let that stuff go. Well, it didn't say that, but you know what it said. Okay. Let that stuff go. Let the it's, I'm saying it's, I'm not cursing, Darren, I'm not cursing. Let the it's in our lives go. Let the it's go. Let them go. The it's are gonna happen. I'm reminded of a story of Mephibosheth. Mephibosheth is an interesting person to me. Mephibosheth was the son of Jonathan, and when Jonathan had died, and Saul, grandson of Saul, when he had died, then they had to flee so they wouldn't be killed. Okay, so his nanny, nurse, whatever you want to call her, was fleeing with him, and he was 5 years old when this happened. And when they were fleeing, he fell, and he became lame in both of his feet. I want to tell you what that word lame means. It means marked by pain, weak, lacking authority, influence, or power to rule. That's what that word lame means right there. It means ineffectual, unsatisfactory, inadequate. So it happened to him when he was 5 years old. He fell, and he became lame in his feet. And so one day David was thinking, and David said, is there anybody left in the house of Saul that I may show kindness for the sake of Jonathan? And then they told him about, oh yeah, there's Mephibosheth, that's his grandson. So David sent for him. And I want you to see what he did. 2 Samuel 9, verse 8. Can we throw that up there? Bless you. This is Mephibosheth talking. Now, David has sent for him. David was trying to give him favor. David wanted to show kindness on the sake of Jonathan. And this is what he said when he came before the king. He was a grandson of a king. Saul was a king. Jonathan by birth should have been the next king. He was Jonathan's son. So on the inside of him really was a king. And this is what he said. He said, then he bowed himself and he said, what is your servant that you should look upon such a dead dog as I? Let me tell you what Mephibosheth means. It means shame destroyer, image breaker. But yet he was seeing himself as a dead dog. God had already provided for the it that was going to happen in his life and said, your name, Mephibosheth, whether you feel lame or not, come crippled before me because I've said that you are shame destroyer and image breaker. So the image that you've been living in, you don't even need to live there because I've already provided for you. I've already made provision for the it that was going to happen in your life. Let that it go. But all he could see is I'm a dead dog, ineffectual. Lacking authority, influence to rule. And we know what happened in his life, guys. David said that, he assigned Ziba, who really was a servant to Saul. Ziba had servants. He was living in the king's palace like he was a king. He had taken over. And David said, you're going to serve Mephibosheth. He shifted him. Took him from the place of Lodabar, brought him into a palace, and said, you're going to sit in here and you're going to eat from the king's table the rest of your life. He invited him to his table. I know, it keeps falling. He's awesome. Thank you. It's coming off my ear. That's the issue. So anyway, while X is doing this, he was, I don't want it. I want my arms. Yeah. So what ended up happening is Ziba and his servants was to take care of Mephibosheth. And, but Mephibosheth never could see himself the way and who he was. And he ended up, as the story goes on, he ended up losing half of his inheritance. Ziba was able to do a trickster thing and tricked him out of it by talking to David behind his back. Because all Mephibosheth kept thinking is, poor me, poor me. And I'm sure things happened in his life that made him crippled. I'm sure people talked about him. I'm sure kids teased him. I'm sure things happened where he felt less than. Those synapses were being running up and down those axons and the neurons, right? And because of that, it cost him half of his inheritance. So are we willing? Because see, it's already paid for, right? It's already done. But if we want to live in the past versus what God has already spoken, do I need to just get a regular mic?
We can hear you fine. I know it's falling off, but it's not falling off from us. We got it.
All right.
Okay, we're going to try this.
It's not distracting us.
Okay. So, where was I? I remember. Ziba took half of his inheritance. And I think it was so interesting to me, you guys, what the Bible says in verse 13. Go to verse 13. This was interesting because a lot of stuff had happened before we got to this scripture. David had invited him to the table. David wanted to feed him all the time. David wanted to show kindness. A lot of things had happened. David had gone away to war, and he wanted, as the heart of a father, he wanted Mephibosheth with him. But Mephibosheth couldn't go, and he used the excuses. There was nobody to wrap my feet, nobody to put me on the donkey, nobody to help me. Oh, poor me. That's where he was. And so the Bible says that at the end of all of this, he's lost half of his inheritance. David was so sick of his excuses. Now, I'm going to tell you, when he was back to the lame dog thing, David never, ever addressed that. David just said, do this, 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 this for him. He put him in his rightful place. Do you hear what I'm saying? David didn't even address the issues that he had. David just said, hey, you're going to take care of this, you're going to take care of this, you're going to do this, and then he bring him to my table that he will eat with me for the rest. I mean, he put him in his rightful place. Do you understand what I'm saying? David never addressed. God is not looking at your little its that happen and addressing them, because, God doesn't have problems. Darren said that a lot. So God doesn't answer it when you're talking about problems. God doesn't have any problems. God gives you what he's already spoken about you, because Psalms 139 said there's a book written about you. And when we get into that book and we start reading that book about what God has for us, then we don't have to live as a dead dog, or rejected, or in shame, or in guilt. But this is so interesting. I'm like, God, what? Put that back up there for me. At the end of all of this, all that he was given, come to the table of the king. So Mephibosheth dwelt in Jerusalem, for he ate continually at the king's table, and he was lame in both his feet. I said, God, why'd you say that? Why was that important? You know what it was? He never got over his lameness. He never stepped out of being crippled. He continuously was crippled and lame. We can go to the king's table, but we should be changed in his presence. I think that was a picture for us of not to do what he did. He ate with the king. And he was still lame, not because he couldn't get healed, but because he refused to get healed, because he kept going on those neuron pathways that says, I'm lame, I'm crippled, I can't do nothing, poor me, victim mentality. And because he stayed stuck in that place, he even came to the king's table and didn't get changed. Are we willing to do that? I'm not. I could have stayed right here and been rejected and mad at God when the tumors came. Coming to the table of the king, worshiping, singing the songs, believing it somewhat. And I'm saying somewhat because he believed it somewhat. He didn't fully embrace it, or the Bible wouldn't have said he came to the king's table and he was lame in both feet. There was a point in that. We go to the table and we say, hey, I'm in church, I'm worshiping, I'm listening to this message and it's good. I'm not going to live from this tree of good and evil. I'm going to live from life. But you're lame in your feet? How can we be lame in the presence of God? He was. So don't be deceived. This thing is important. When Darren is talking about that the seed must go into the ground and it must die, and the things that cover the seed that tries to stop it, rejection, anger, bitterness, guilt, shame, victim mentality, all of that keeps that seed from cracking open that the truth can come forth, right? So again, lame, at the king's table. How can you be at the king's table and don't have authority? Don't rule. We've been called, right? We sit in heavenly places, right? We're co-creators, right? So are we not walking in the fullness of that because we're lame? Look at the places in your life that you could be lame. Where are you ineffective? Remember I talked to you about See, when we go back to those things that happened, I shared with you guys a few months back about tradition. Tradition, religion, all that stuff can keep us bound, right? And I would talk to you about Samson. Remember Samson? Some of y'all were here. Who was here when I shared that? Okay? So I'll tell it again. So Samson, the Philistines had came against Samson. And Samson did not have a weapon. And what he did is he bent down. There was a fresh, that's important, there was a fresh jawbone in the sand, jawbone of a donkey. And he picked that jawbone up, and he used that jawbone to whip some butts. Can I say that in church? I said it. And, and he killed 1,000 people. He did. He killed 1,000 people with that jawbone. And what's important in that although that's quite impressive, he was the only one left standing. They came against him, but he was the only one left standing. But what's important in that is not that he killed 1,000 people. What's important in that is that he let that jawbone go. He dropped it. He let it go. He threw it away. What had worked for him, what had been effective, what had killed all these people, he let it go. And if this day and time, I said, if we had that, we would be patenting it. We'd be manufacturing it. We'd be merchandising it, getting the word out. Look at this killed 1,000 people. We'd be trying to use it as a weapon of mass destruction, all kinds of stuff, y'all. But what we would do is we would trade it. And any time you package something and you trade it, it's called trade-ition. It was good for a season. It was effective in that time. But God is saying to us, those traditions and that religious stuff that's in our lives, throw it away. Let that it go. Let the it's go, right? It's time to throw it away, y'all. It's time to throw those things away. Because, see, tradition is of man. And all this other stuff, it keeps us restricted. It keeps us boxed in. And God is saying to us that he's taking the limits off. We don't have to live in those places. He's taking the limits off. We're unrestricted. Unrestricted. Because why? The fullness of the Godhead lives on the inside of us. And so if we don't take off those lenses, the lens of rejection, the lens of anger, the lens of bitterness, the lens of unforgiveness, all the lens from the it's that happen, if we don't take those off, then we're conditioning again our bodies and our minds to be in the past. And we're looking through lenses that are faulty. They're faulty, y'all. So there's this thing. I love this guy, Joe Dispenza. You guys have heard Pastor Darren and them talk about him too. I love him. And he talks about being mental rehearsal. You guys, this is so interesting. Are y'all getting something out of this? Yeah. All right. Stay with me. I see some sleeping people. Come on, wake up. No, just kidding. Okay. So this is about mental rehearsing, okay? So we can change the brain as well as the body by thoughts alone. You can change your mind, you change your body by thoughts alone, okay? If you focus your attention on a specific imagery in your mind and you become very present with that image, okay, and you repeat that process and those feelings that go with it, then your brain really doesn't know the difference between it really happening on the inside or if it's happening on the outside. That's really powerful. You know, Darren talks about living in joy. You celebrate things. And, you know, many of you guys probably know that I've been home tending, which means I move into a home that's on the market. I stage the home, and I get to live there for a little bit of money in these gorgeous homes that I one day will be able to afford. They're already mine anyway, because, you know, it's already done, right? Jesus made me rich. He became poor that I could become rich. And it's not about material things. It's just that he has it for me. He's already told me. So what I did when I first moved into the first house, you guys, I loved the house. It was gorgeous. I loved it. I was excited about it. And then the day came that there was a contract on it. And I went, oh, no, where am I going to go? What am I going to do? And fear tried to grip me. And I didn't want to really stay with my friends. I had friends that said I could stay with them, and that was wonderful. But I really wanted my own place. I had a taste. I really loved it. You know? And God said to me, what difference does it make if I show you where you're going 2 days before you go? A week before you go? 3 weeks before you have to go? What difference does it make? And he said, what lie are you believing about me that you don't think that I will provide the next house for you? There's lies that we believe about God that he's not going to do it. I could have believed, you're not good right here. Rain, Tuma. What lies? You can look at any it in your life, any situation that happens in your life, and you can look at and see, God, is there any lies that I'm believing about you in this situation? And if you see the lies, then you can change it and anchor love or anchor his goodness. Because that's the thing that God taught me through that whole thing was about his goodness. You hearing what I'm saying? And you guys, the body doesn't know the difference if it's happening or not when you focus on it and you start imagining it and you start living in it. It doesn't know if it's happening or not on the outside or the inside. That's powerful. Your brain is so powerful. You guys, that is so powerful. So now when there's a contract that comes on the house, first of all, when I live in the houses, I pray for the people that are going to buy the house, that's selling the house, the real estate agent. And they walk in, I know they feel the presence of the Lord in that house because I pray in that house. I worship in that house. And even one of my realtors, because we work with several realtors to make sure you keep having a place. And she said, you bring good vibes. And I'm thinking, what she's feeling is the presence of the Lord. He's the good vibrator, right? And so it's awesome. I get to practice this stuff and just celebrate the next place. And he keeps giving me upgrades. You guys, this last house is freaking amazing. One of the real estate agents said, yeah, if it just moved a little bit, this is $1 million home. And it's gorgeous. And I thought I couldn't live in a place like that because I didn't have all the furniture. You have to furnish certain rooms. And my real estate agent liked me so much and gave me such favors. Say, God. Yeah. She says, this is what we're going to do. She said, I got your new place for you. She said, well, I got a contract on this, but I got a new place for you. And she told me about this place, and I'm thinking, I ain't got no furniture for that. And she says, this is what we're going to do. Me and the owner, we're going to pay $6,000 to stage it. Wow. And you get to live in a beautiful place, and we'll just use your furniture in certain rooms. So I still got to use all my stuff and the rest of the house that I couldn't put stuff in. And you guys, I didn't come up with that. I just worshiped and I just praised. I was thankful for the next place. And he did exceedingly abundantly above what I could ask or think or even imagine. And it's blowing my mind. And you know what she said? She said, you can have many meetings in this place. You can have a lot of your friends over and have meetings. And you get to live in a beautiful place. And I'm going, heck yeah. I ain't got stupid written across my face. I'm moving. And is it not sharp? Yeah, heck yeah, it's sharp. It's gorgeous. It is awesome, actually, that place. And so we need to live in a place of gratitude. That's what I'm trying to say. We need to be in a place of thanksgiving. That is a powerful, powerful emotion. And that emotion can change things when you attach joy to it. When you attach praise and thanksgiving and gratefulness to it. Listen to this. Your brain don't know the difference. You guys, this happened. This blew my mind. They took men in their 70s and 80s, okay? They took these men out of their environment. These were men in nursing homes, bent over like this. Not that you have to be like this in your 70s, 80s, but that's just what they were, okay? Let's just tell the truth. That's what they were. And they took them out of their environment, and they put them in a place that was 20 years younger. Everything was from 20 years ago. So the magazines they looked at was from 20 years ago. The way the place was decorated, it looked like it was 20 years ago. And they told these men that were like this, they told these men to think that you're 20 years younger. That's all they had to do. That's what they had to do. They were in this place, say, 5 days. They were in this place, say it again, 5 days. 5 days, it don't take long. They were in this place 5 days, and at the end of 5 days, the arthritic fingers had straightened out. They did the measurements. At the end of 5 days, the men were standing erect. They weren't even walking with the walkers or the canes. At the end of 5 days, they were playing touch football. What? These are 70 and 80-year-olds playing touch football as if they're 50 and 40. It all happened right here. Renew your mind to the mind of Christ. We are not supposed to die. God gives us life and life more abundant. That's abundance, guys. This is the world doing this. What if we get in agreement with the fullness of the Godhead on the inside of us and begin to tap into that I am rich, I am healed, I am whole, I am. The most powerful words in the universe is I am, because scientists say that anything that you put after I am, that your body and your mind aligns with it. So when you say I am anything, your body and your mind becomes in alignment with it. So be careful what you say I am about, because the great I am is on the inside of you. So how come, when they say that in science, that the greatest, words are I am, and I'm going, I am a king. I am a son. I am a child of God. I am. And the I am is on the inside of me. Yeah. So what's impossible? Nothing. And if it's already done, we heard that tetelestai, Jesus did it all on the cross. It's already finished. Then can we fail? Really and truly, can we fail? That's the thing God's been saying. Monica, how can you fail? You're living in a past memory. Even business-wise, you guys, I got stuck. Oh, God. I had bought some property. I made a lot of money, and I lost a lot of money. And then I was stuck with a bad relationship to fear. Fear that I can't, and then y'all, I even was religious with it. I lost God's money. I misused God's money. Oh, Lord. So I'm not worthy to do it again. I kept myself stuck. Let me tell you what. I am coming out of that place. I am going to own. I am going to be an entrepreneur of several companies, because I'm coming out of this place. I am. Because the I am is on the inside of me, right? So those past failures and all the junk, the it's, because it happened. I lost that money. Lots of it. I'm like, I could be further alone. But if my Father owns it all, Dennis got it in a week. That wasn't nothing. You guys, this happened to me. This is so funny. There's somebody, I don't really know this person well. I really don't. I don't know this person. And this person gave me an envelope. And they said, you need to open that envelope. I'm going, I will. All right. Chill out. It's good. And so when I got home, I opened the envelope. And there was a note in there saying, I'm paying off all of your medical bills. You guys, I had 2 brain surgeries. That's a lot of money. Not only did it pay off all my medical bills, but it even helped take care of medical bills that are coming this year. And I remember calling this person. Now, this is how your mind, okay? I remember calling this person going, oh, my God, you can't do this. Seriously, I did. And I said, did I say anything that caused you to do this? Did I manipulate you in any way? I'm so sorry. Oh, my gosh, why did you do this? Ah. That was my flesh. That was over here. Tree of what? Knowledge of good and evil. I was trying to justify it. Am I really worthy of it? Right? And it was interesting because she said to me, you guys, this was so freaking funny. She said, Monica, I am not that nice. She said, even if you tried to manipulate me, I wouldn't have fell for it. And then she said to me, she said, I ain't even generous. I was like, oh my God. She said, that ain't even my personality. I'm going, yes, it is because you're in God. But you know, she heard from God. And she was obedient to God. And here I am being blessed and trying to talk myself out of the blessing. God said, what are you doing? And then I just started celebrating. Woo, 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 woo. It was exciting. I've never received a check that big, so it was pretty awesome to me. So it was really cool. Okay, so let me get back to this. This is another thing that happened, you guys. This is so cool. So Harvard researchers, and I have to read this, they took a group of volunteers who had never played the piano before, and they divided the group in half. I don't know how many it was. Let's say 5 and 5. And one half practiced a simple 5-finger piano exercise. Okay? One half did this. For 2 hours a day over a period of, again, 5 days. 5 is what? There you go. Okay, the remaining half did the same thing, but just by imagining it. They never touched a piano. They didn't even sit in front of it. They didn't know the keys. Listen to this. They were to imagine sitting in front of the piano without physically moving. They didn't even move their fingers. They were not to move their fingers in any way. The before and after brain scans showed that both groups created a dramatic number of new neural circuits and neurological program in the regions of their brain that controls the finger movements. You guys, we are fearfully and wonderfully made. We don't want to live below what God has created us to be. Right? I mean, they didn't even move their fingers. And they also did that with weight training. I'm like, all right, let me take that one right now. They did it with weight training as well. And the same thing happened. That these people, and they said if they set them down at the piano, because they had imagined it so long, and their bodies were already conditioned to be in that place, the bodies didn't know the difference of it being on the inside or the outside. They sat at the piano and they could play it. They never even touched the piano. We are co-creators with God. What are we creating? You could create negative and good. It works both ways, right? By mentally imagining the activity every day, they installed neurological hardware in preparation for the experience. We're believing God for something. Celebrate now. If you're believing God to get out of debt, celebrate and live like it. Your body doesn't know the difference if it's happened or not, but it brings it to you. If you're believing God for wholeness, Where there's a sickness, celebrate now and live as if it's already done. Remember a few weeks ago, Darren said if you won, I don't know how many millions of dollars, what would you be acting like or something like that? I probably really messed that up. But the thing is, if God has it all, why are we not living like that? Why are we living in a poverty mentality or a place of lack? Right? Because we don't have to. Mental rehearsal can change the body and brain by thought alone. Get this. Not only do you prime your biology every day with your mind, but also recreate the same physical behaviors in order to reinforce those experiences further in your body and your brain. So in other words, when you continue to reinforce rejection by your thoughts, because it happened, right? Then you're reinforcing that. You're conditioning your body every day to physically live in that place. That's pretty serious, right? And what happens then, you guys, this was really interesting to me. When we do that, we're living in a survival mode. When things start happening and we get all excited, and what's released is adrenaline and cortisol, okay? And they keep pumping through our bodies, and we stay on high alert instead of returning to balance. What happens is that our bodies become so conditioned to this rush of chemicals that we become addicted to them. So we can be addicted to anger. We can be addicted, hear me, to fear, to anger, to regret, to guilt, to shame. Because we keep producing it, then it releases a cortisone and adrenaline, and our bodies get stuck there, and we're addicted to it, just like a drug addict. So the emotions are energy in motion. It's a record of the past, just what your emotions have, okay? They could be good or bad. And like I said, we can get addicted. And then we use people to reaffirm our addictions. We use our mothers to reaffirm that we've been rejected. Or we use our boss, or to reaffirm our anger, or we use a coworker, or we use a sibling, or we use whatever. You hear what I'm saying? We reaffirm these anchors. These are the anchors. We keep reaffirming them with action. I know it's hot in here, right? And we reaffirm shame, insecurity, judgment, hatred. That's living from the other tree. You guys, what are we doing? I've done it too. I'm coming out. Yeah. So what if we became, you guys, what if we became addicted to him? To his goodness, to his love, to his joy, to his peace. What if we became addicted? If we could be addicted to rejection and anger, hatred, self-hatred, all that stuff over here, that same release of adrenaline can make us addicted to all that. And that's where we want to be, right? I'm like, God, I want to be addicted to you, to your love. Because you know so when I had that first surgery, y'all, and what the doctor said, which was interesting to me because I'm sitting in his office and he said to me, if we hadn't discovered this, you would have died. And it was found by a fluke, right? Yeah, right, God. You would have gone blind, you would have been paralyzed, you would have had a major stroke, and you would have died. That's what they said to me. That's kind of hard to handle, right? And then he said, you have a tentacle. I'm like, what the heck is a tentacle? And the tentacle is in your carotid artery. And that's a real dangerous place. You know, the other tumor was really big for a brain tumor, and it was sitting right above my optical nerve and right on my hypothalamus, and and some other things. Anyway, so I had no symptoms, none, except just a little bit of dizziness sometimes. But I had no symptoms, okay? And this is what he tells me. And what's so cool is before that diagnosis came, I'm going back to this for a reason. Renee, my buddy back there, my sister, had a dream. I mean, I'm talking weeks before this happened. She had a dream. She didn't share it with me. And she had a dream about me falling on a rock, ha, 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 in a riverbed, ha, 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 ha. And there was all these people around, and they wanted to get me up quick, and I said, wait, stop, just stop. Everybody get back. And she moved people back. And she said, I checked myself out from head to toe, and when I got up, all was well. You guys, that was the word of the Lord. So when the diagnosis came, I knew, fall on the rock. The rock is Jesus. Stay in the presence, the river, the Holy Spirit. Stay in that place of peace. God had already provided for what I needed for the it that was coming in my life. And so anyway, all this stuff happened, and they had told me during surgery, we're not going to chase that tentacle, which I found out later that a tentacle is really just another tumor. We're not going to chase it because we could kill you. We can cause you to bleed out. Well, I don't want that. Hello. So they didn't chase it, and he said, but we are cutting off its blood supply, so, it probably will die. And let me just say this. The main thing that had happened, which was a pinched nerve, which when that all showed that there was some bone spurs on my back, and that was causing the pinched nerve. I went through this encounter. I came out of the encounter. I was totally healed from that. And so then I thought, well, he's going to heal the brain things too. Wouldn't you think that? If he's you guys, I was icing and doing traction every day just to function. The pain was so severe. I went through that for about 3 months before it got healed completely. And so I thought, if he did that so supernaturally, he's going to do the tumors too, right? That was an opportunity to think that he wasn't good. When that report came back that they were still there, he's still good. He was still good. You hear what I'm saying? And then when I went back I was getting ready to go back to take the next MRI to see what happened to the tentacle, because you have to be tested every so often, because that sucker had a mind of its own, and we had to, speak some shabba-baba to it. But before I went back, there was this song that kept playing through my head. And you guys, I'd never heard this song. Literally, I'd never heard this song. And I thought, woo, because I'm writing songs again, I'm so excited. And I thought, ooh, is that a song you want me to write, God? This is a part of a song. Because I just get parts, And all I heard was, your promise is sure. Great is your faithfulness. Your faithfulness, oh God. I'm still in your hands. This is my confidence that you never failed me yet. And he never will. So that was the song that kept playing over in my head. I'm going, God, what is this song? I don't know this song. Is this something I'm writing? Da, 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 da. God said, it's called Do It Again. Go look up the words. I went and looked up the words. This is before I went and had the MRI and got the next report, okay? I went and looked up the words, and the word says, walking around these walls, I thought by now they'd fall, but you have never felt me yet. I know the night won't last. Oh, I'm having a moment right here. Because I'm still in your hands. That song had came, and I started looking at the words, and I'm going, oh my God. And the song called, I'm going to do it again, do it again, do it again, Lord, I'm going to do it again, do it again, do it again. That's the song. And so I'm looking at this song. Then I go to my doctor, and I have to have this, that anchored, that song. You don't have a song in your head. You have a song, and you don't know what it's all about, and God gives you a word. Boom. Boom. Right there, he's saying, baby, I'm going to do it again. Everything that I provided in the last season, I'm going to provide it and even more. So when I went to that doctor, and that doctor said, not only is the tumor still there, it didn't die, but it has grown. So that makes it even more dangerous that you could die. And you're going to need another surgery, but that's inoperable. Oh, your goodness. Your promise is sure, great is your faithfulness. So then he says, I need to send you to a radiation oncologist. I don't have cancer. Never did. Never will. And you're going to have this thing called gamma knife surgery. You guys, they drill these little holes in your head, and they put this thing on you. It ain't fun, man. But do you know God provided the right person, the right place, everything? And I got to go through that thing, and even the surgery, y'all, they said it's going to be 5 days, and 5 hours, and you're going to be in there 5 days. I went in the hospital on a Monday. I was out from a major brain surgery on Wednesday. The surgery was supposed to have been 5 hours. It was 2.5. The whole time I was in ICU, the nurses and the doctors were twiddling their thumbs. They said, I don't know who this woman is, but all the patients is at peace. Do you hear what I'm saying to you? God can use the it's in your life to change other people's lives. So that created, again for me, they said, yeah, this is going to happen, but I knew God had me. He said, I'm going to do it again. He was anchoring his goodness with this different situations in my life. And I had a choice. I could go, and grow, and it could kill me. What am I going to do? No, God, you're good, and you got me. Because your promises are sure. Great is your faithfulness. So you may have a situation in your life that you need to say, God, you're good. I don't understand it. I don't like it, but you're good. Right? And so then we can start being addicted to the goodness. When we begin to break the emotional addictions to fear, frustration, resentment, unworthiness, then we are freeing our bodies from the chains of the habits of those emotions that have anchored us in the past. I have a resurrection power. We sung it this morning. Living on the inside, Jesus, you have given us freedom. Free from that stuff, right? Free from those chains that have bound us up. I'm going fast, y'all. Whoa, I'm not going to get through all of this. So God said to me, it's time for us to come out of the boxes of our perceived restrictions, out of our perceived. You hear me? Come out of those limitations and those traditions and addictions and fully embrace the fullness in him. Fully embrace and create neural paths, new ones of this stuff. And not that you have to work it out. You already have it. That's already in you because the fullness of the Godhead is in you, right? So we have it. We just got to walk in it. We got to believe it. We got to meditate on it. We don't have to work it up, right? Sheila taught us that. You don't have to work it up because we already have it. I am in joy. I am in peace. I am debt-free. I am whole. You hear what I'm saying? And God said to me, he said, Monica, I'm bigger than your experiences. And until you change your thinking, you will always recycle. Listen to this. Until we change our thinking, we will always recycle our experiences. Now, I don't mind recycling this because I'm reaffirming it. Right? But I ain't recycling this mess over here. We're going to let the it's go. Right? Say, I'm going to let the it's go. It's, you don't have no hold on me. Yeah. And God says it's time to come into maturity. That's what he's been teaching us. All these teachings that Darren is maturing us. Listen what maturity means. It's a result of knowledge. It's the ability to understand, accept, adapt, adjust to, prepare for, manage, and direct change. It's the ability to understand change, to accept change, to adapt to change, to adjust to change, to prepare for change, to manage and direct change. It's time for us to change direction and to create the right neural paths in our brains. Right? Me too. Me too. Me too. Me too. Me too. Me too. I'm right there. I'm right there. And when it comes, a situation is going to come. It's going to come. Darren taught us that last week. I hold you no account. I hold you to no account of it. It's already done. It's already paid for. It's already handled. Right? I don't have to be angry. It's already paid for. When I can look at you and go, you didn't do nothing to me. Because we are a word from the word. And he watches over his word to perform it. And just recently, when I was studying this, he said, my word, listen to this, my word is truth. Then we are our truth. There's a truth about us. Psalms 39, that talks about all of our days that are written. There's a truth about us. We are truth. And he watches over his word to perform it, and it does not return void. It accomplishes what it sent it to do. So how can we fail if we are a word, we are a truth, and he has sent us out, and we will accomplish what he sent us to do because it won't return void. Right? That's who you are. You're powerful. So when we meditate on the word and on what God said about us that's already on the inside of us, the fullness, the abundance, things start shifting. Remember the men, they went from this place to this place. So where we've been crippled in our lives, it's time to straighten up. Where we've been lame and ineffectual, it's time to let that go. Right? All right. That's what we're going to do. That's what I'm going to do. I don't know about y'all. I'm going to do it. I'm like, God, I am not willing. I am not willing to not walk in everything that I agreed to, because we are a spirit being, right? So we were in him before the foundations of the earth. And so that book that's written about us, we agreed before we came here. So I'm choosing to remember what I agreed to, what's in my book. I'm choosing to walk in it. And then that shifts right here. That shifts the thoughts, that shifts the mind, that shifts how I see me and how I think God sees me. Right? Because he sees you as powerful and a co-creator with him. So we can co-create with him, right? All right. Woo! We're almost there. I didn't give y'all a lot of scripture, did I? I'm sorry. We know that there's a bunch of scripture. I could give them to you, like Romans 12:2, Philippians 4:8, think on these things, 2 Timothy 1:7, Proverbs 4:23. I had them all. Guard your heart with all diligence, because out of it flows the issue of life. I mean, I had them. I just didn't read them. I'm sorry. Lean not to your own understanding. All those scriptures, they're there. And even right now, guys, I have this. be careful how you say it. There's this issue. Because see, even when the tumors were there, I would say these things like, I've been diagnosed. It's on a film. Right? I wouldn't say it's mine. I didn't claim it as mine. I still don't claim it as mine. And guys, you know what else happened? You know, we've been talking about regenerating, getting newer, younger, all this stuff, and I'm so excited about it. And I start speaking to my eyes and telling my eyes, I mean, you guys, let me tell you something. I know how old I am. I refuse. I am not going to be one who's going to wear glasses. Those little reader things, that's not cute to me. It's not stylish. I don't want to do it. And I said, God, I ain't doing it. And so I've been speaking over my eyes. And you know what? They both improved 0.25% this last time when I went. And they're going to continue, right? I refuse to get old. I'm speaking to my gray hairs, the ones that I have, very few. And I'm like, no. I'm speaking to the wrinkles. I'm speaking to this knee, telling it, you're going to be whole. You are whole. You may not have manifested yet, but in the kingdom, you are whole. Right? So stand up with me. Thank you. Did y'all get some out of this? Yeah. She has something to say. It's awesome. See, I didn't even hold you long. We're right at 12.
Hello. So when we were in worship, I was seeing something, and I don't know about you, but sometimes I'm like, that's not the word of God, or that's not this, or whatever, and I fight in my mind that I'm not hearing God. And God showed me a very, very specific picture, and I kept feeling like I needed to get up and share it, and I didn't want to do it. And then she puts up a picture, and the exact Houdini scene that she showed is what God showed me. And if I would have done it, you guys would have been like, Brenda, like she knew what Monica was saying. I had no idea. And what God showed me was a picture of a bird cage, and that we were the bird, and we are in a false prison, and we tell ourselves that the restrictions that are before us,
come on,
that they're here. And then the owner of the bird cage came over and opened up the door and said, you're free to fly. But as the bird, I kept staying inside the cage thinking I couldn't get out. The doors weren't unlocked because I'd gone so many times and it was locked. Just like Houdini kept thinking he was working and God was showing me I'd looked at that bird cage door so many times that now, even though it was unlocked and I was free, which is what we sang, and we were free to go, it was in my mind that I wasn't free.
Yeah,
and God said that bird cage doors have been opened, and as Christians, we need to go. We have the freedom to cross out through that door. But our restrictions are in our mind. Our restrictions are, I'm not free. I don't know that I can be healed of the tumor. She can be healed of the tumor, but what I can't be. I can't be healed of addiction. So I'm encaging myself. I'm encaging myself in a prison, and I'm believing this false door that's not even there, that's open, that I can cross out and be. I mean, when a bird gets out, they kind of go, what, you know, and then they start flapping off in a weird way, right? That's just like us. Like, what? I can be free of pornography? What? Not me. You know, I can hide it. I can just pretend like it's not there. I can be free of debt. I'm speaking to myself, you guys.
Come on.
I'm looking at myself like, what? What? $25,000, that's just not like a burp. That's a lot of money. That's a life-changing event.
Right.
$25,000, but to God, it's nothing. Dennis had it all along. That's what God was showing him. We had the freedom all along to cross out that door. It's our choice and our restrictions in our mind. Houdini had it all along. The whole time he's doing all this and he's sweating and wiping his brow. The lock was already unlocked.
Right.
So what doors are you preventing yourself? What doors are you putting back up? What gate are you putting back up in your mind saying, you can't do it? It's not for you. I sat there today saying it's not for me. This is not from God. And then she puts it up there. I looked at Dennis. I'm like, really? Like God just showed me this whole thing. God I am God. I really am walking with God.
Yes.
I really am hearing God.
Yes.
I really am going to be free. And God's telling you, and I'm encouraging you, step out of that door into freedom. I'm speaking to myself because I didn't want to do this, but step out of that door to freedom. It's out there.
Yeah.
It's real. God is in us. God is walking with us. We have the kingdom inside of us. Debt-free is not a possibility. It is.
It is.
Being cancer-free or tumor-free, it is.
So freedom, you have given us freedom. You have given us freedom. My chains are gone. Let's sing that as we end. Come on. So freedom, you have given us freedom. You have given us freedom. My chains are gone. Let's say it again. Freedom, you have given us freedom. You have given us freedom. My chains are gone. My addictions are gone too. Freedom, you have given us freedom. You have given us freedom. The door is open. Woo! If we have resurrection power, which is life, a greater law, and life abundant on the inside of us. So, Father, I thank you for what you're doing in your people, God. I thank you that you are freeing us, and actually, God, you've already freed us, but you're bringing us to the wisdom and the knowledge that we're already free, that we already have it, that it's already ours, and all we have to do is walk in it. So we choose, say, I choose to walk in what's already mine. I am rich. I am whole. I am healed. And there's nothing impossible for me because I'm a co-creator with my Father, and all things are possible with him. And it's already done. And I choose to live from a place called done. Amen. God bless you.